Money in America today no longer relies on gold since 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window. It is nothing but trust printed by the Federal Reserve, the Fed, and multiplied by giant banks like J.P. Morgan and Bank of America. Americans work their whole lives just to get numbers in their Chase or Wells Fargo accounts. But few people know that the real value of the dollar lies in global trust. If the whole world stops believing the USD is king, it will collapse instantly. The Fed controls this game. And they know it well. Whoever controls trust controls both America and the world. Schools teach you how to earn money, but they never teach how money actually works. Because if Americans truly understood, the American dream would no longer be a dream. Commercial banks in America are giant money printing machines. When you borrow $300,000 to buy a house in Texas or California, the bank doesn't take money from a vault. They just type a few keys and create $300,000 out of thin air in your account. You must repay both principal and interest. But the interest is never created at the same time as the principal. To pay the interest to the bank, someone in society must borrow even more new money. This is fractional reserve banking, a legal system that allows banks to multiply money up to 10 times the actual cash they hold. The Fed pumps money through QE after the 2008 crisis and COVID. But the new money always flows to Wall Street first. This is not a mistake. It is intentional design. The American economy must grow forever, debt must rise forever, or the whole system will collapse. Debt in America is not just a number, it is a tool that steals your future. When you swipe your credit card for an iPhone, a Tesla, or a Disney World trip, you are time traveling for consumption. You enjoy today by selling your financial freedom tomorrow. The average American carries over $6,000 in credit card debt, paying 20% interest every year. Student loans across the country total $1.70 trillion. You pay interest for 10 to 30 years on things that are already old or worthless. Meanwhile, the rich in Manhattan or Silicon Valley borrow money to buy stocks, rental properties, and businesses. The interest they pay is tax-deductible, and their assets rise with inflation. The same tool, debt, becomes chains for you, but a lever for them. That is why the top 1% own 32% of America's wealth, while the bottom 50% own only 2%. Taxes and inflation are two invisible knives cutting the pockets of American workers. Your salary rises 5%, but food, gas, and housing prices rise 8 to 10%, so you actually become poorer. Money printed by the Fed through QE or low rates flows first to Wall Street, hedge funds, and billionaires. They buy Apple stock, land, and gold at old prices. By the time the money reaches Main Street, prices have already skyrocketed. This is the Cantillon effect. Those closest to the money printer get richer, while those farthest away suffer the worst inflation. Federal income tax hits hardest on W-2, wages the hardest source to avoid. Meanwhile, the rich use LLCs, trusts, good debt, and dividends to legally reduce their tax rate below 15%. They don't evade taxes. They simply play by the rules they and their lobbyists wrote in Washington. American society is designed for you to spend more than you earn. Super Bowl ads, Instagram, and the pressure to keep up with the Joneses make you feel like a failure without a big house, luxury car, or Maldives vacation. You buy to feel successful, but you are slowly going broke. Banks are happy when you take 30-year mortgages, car loans, and student loans. They sell you the illusion that debt is normal and the way to live a quality life. The result, the average American loses 42% of their income just to debt and interest payments. Meanwhile, the rich avoid bad debt and only use good debt that assets pay off for them. Compound interest is magic if you receive it from dividends or rentals, but it is hell if you pay it to the bank. The system does not want real Americans to get truly rich, because if everyone became wealthy, who would borrow to pay interest to the Fed and Wall Street? The American economy needs consumers who keep borrowing to maintain GDP growth. If you save too much, stop borrowing, and stop shopping, the system shakes. That is why they created the culture of YOLO, buy now, pay later, and live your best life. You are trapped in a loop. Work 40 to 60 hours a week, right arrow, earn a paycheck, right arrow, spend with debt, right arrow, pay interest, right arrow, work even harder. Financial freedom is not about making $1 million. It is about breaking out of that loop. But to escape, you must stop blaming yourself with, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough. You are not weak. You are simply playing a game whose rules were written for 99% of people to lose. Knowledge is the key for Americans to change. Once you know the USD is debt, the Fed creates money from nothing. Interest is the forced growth engine, bad debt is a burden, and good debt is leverage. Every financial decision looks different. Instead of borrowing to buy a car for show, ask, does this debt create cash flow to repay itself? Instead of spending every paycheck on Amazon and Starbucks, save 20% to build assets. You don't need to become Warren Buffett. You only need assets that generate more income than your living costs, then you are free. The system does not teach this in public school or college, but you can learn it for free online. That is why the rich keep this secret. Finally, money in America is not the goal, it is just a tool. When you truly understand how the Fed, banks, and Wall Street operate, you stop being controlled by them. You can choose to live more simply, avoid consumer debt, and quietly build assets. You can decide you don't need to prove your worth with fancy cars or designer bags. This knowledge won't make you rich overnight, but it will stop you from losing money in stupid ways. The biggest question is not, how do I make a lot of money? It is, how do I make money serve me instead of me serving money and the Fed? The system was designed to keep you an average debtor forever. But once you see through the game, you have the right to choose a different path. And that choice belongs only to Americans like you.